Hi, today we'll do an example in JavaFX. We will be demonstrating the ability to respond to a property change utilizing change listeners, which are the same as the other class which is the same as the other code we did with binding. So basically, instead of binding, we're going to use a change listener. So a change listener listens for property changes. So we'll start with the class. We'll start with importing all that stuff, and we could do it with using the click and stuff like shift enter or whatever, but we'll just do it this way. So import JavaFX dot application dot application then we'll import JavaFX dot beans dot value dot observable value. Then we'll say import JavaFX.scene.group, and we'll import JavaFX.scene.scene. Import JavaFX.scene.paint.color. Then import JavaFX.scene.shape.circle. Then import JavaFX.scene.text.text for a text object. Then import JavaFX.stage.stage. So we'll just say public class main extends application. Then we'll say private scene, then private circle, center, circle. And then we'll say, so no, we're actually creating the scene kind of like with this reference, but we're not going to use this reference. So after that, we'll say, we'll create some private text. So again, we're using a change listener. So private text with text, and then height text. So we'll then create a method, public, do it up here, public void start. Then we'll say stage, primary stage. We'll actually create that up here, so private stage, primary stage. Then this dot primary stage equals to primary stage. Then group, we'll create a group root equals new group. Excuse me. We'll say scene equals new scene. We'll pass in root. We'll just say 400 by 300. And then we'll say color dot cyan. So what we're going to do is now, so we can just say, we can either do the listener now or we can do it later. I prefer to do it right away and then coming back to all that. So let's do that. So we'll say public void process resize screen. We can say process screen resize. And it takes an observable value. You have to put a question mark and then extends number and then property. So then object old value and then object new value. So it takes an object old value and an object new value. So we'll say center circle dot set center x. So the center x, the horizontal x coordinate of the center of the circle, to scene.getWidth divided by 2. Then we'll say center circle dot set center y to scene.getHeight divided by 2. Just change that. I forgot the parentheses. And we'll say width text dot set text to width plus scene.getWidth. So we'll go over it in a sec. I'll just type this last one out. So height text dot set text to height plus scene.getHeight so center y is the y coordinate of the center of the circle, so set the, so what we're saying here is, so here we have a method, it's process screen resize, it's a change listener. It actually doesn't say change listener, but we can just say it's the change listener. So it takes an observable value and then question mark extends number, which is, we just call it property, and then we takes an object old value and an object new value. So what we're saying is, so what it does is it's listening for property changes, right? So we'll just say listens for property changes. So center circle dot set center x scene dot get width. So we're saying the center circle, so our circle, set the center x coordinate, horizontal coordinate of the circle to the scene dot get width divided by 2. So set it to the exact coordinate of the width of the window, the actual width of the window, like 400. That's where it's going to set it up first. So it's going to set it to 400 because x right here and then y, right, for coordinates. So x is the width. So it's going to put the center of the circle when we first start the program. It's going to put it right at 200. Right at 200. The point 200 on the x coordinate. On the x-axis, I mean. And then it'll put y at get height. So it's going to put y at 300 divided by 2. So 200 across to the right from the origin, which is at the top left corner of the screen. So 200 pixels to the right and 150 pixels down. Then we're going to set the text to the width text. Where is width text? Did we create it? No, we didn't create that yet. So we'll create that now. So it's just it's going to be a string property. Oh no, it's going to be a. We'll do it in a sec. So we'll say scene. So here we'll just set the. We'll set the scene. So we'll say scene. So the scene dot width property. So scenes have a width and a height property. Because properties can change. So scene dot width property dot add listener. So it's kind of like a event handler. And then this shift semicolon semicolon process screen resize. Then here we'll say scene dot height property dot add listener to this shift semicolon semicolon then process again screen resize. Whoops, just there should be, there's no parentheses. I thought there would be, but that's okay, there's none. It's going to give us an error. So what it's saying is set the scene width property and listen for changes to the width property. So set the height property. So basically, so add a listener to the width property that's going to listen for changes to the width. Do the same for the height. Add a listener to the height property of the scene and listen for changes to the height and the width. Then here in our change listener, set the center of the circle, the x coordinate in pixels, the horizontal x coordinate of the center of the circle. It's kind of a lot to remember. It should just be the x coordinate, I guess, yeah. X coordinate of the center of the circle in pixels horizontally. The horizontal x coordinate of the center of the circle in pixels. Set that to the width the scene, right? Set it to the width, the current width of the height, and divide that by 2, so that way the circle's right in the half of that circle, right in the half of the width and half of the height. So what's half of the width? So if this to here to there is the width, what's half of it? There. And then what's half of the height? Let's say the end's there, so this to there. So it's going to be put right in the center of the circle, and it's always going to stay there. And then it's going to stay, it's going to stay right in the center. Every time you resize the window, it's going to stay right in the center. Because that's what it's doing, it's listening for changes, and it's constantly setting that to the center as the window changes. That's all that's happening. So this way is easier, I think, than the other way. In the video before this, where we do the binding, it's up to you which one you like to do. But this is like using, like I said in the other video, this is like using a buffered reader or a file reader compared to this is like using a file writer or a print writer compared to just concatenating each line of a text file or anything with text in it. Instead of doing it concat, we can just use the methods that are built in to help us handle that data better. It seems like it's easier because it just depends what you like to do. Some people do like to concat. Concat, I guess, can be helpful, but it seems like this way is a little bit easier to understand too. So after all that, we'll create 2 text objects. Excuse me. So we'll create 2 text objects. I was yawning. So then we'll say width text string str equals to new text object. Oh, we already created these, so that's right. So we could have just created them on the fly here, but we'll just add a str there. So with text str equals to new text, and then it takes you can look up the constructors on the Oracle docs, JavaFx, but it takes a pixel to be placed at, so 30, or coordinate to be placed at, so x and y, 21 pixels on the x coordinate and 30 pixels on the y coordinate. So height, so width and then height, x is width, right? Left to right, and height is y, up to down or down to up. So then say width, so the string width, and then concatenate that too with the plus sign to the scene dot get width. Then with text str, no, with height text str. Yeah, so height text str, we'll have to change these to str as well. There we go. As height text str is equal to new text, and we'll say 21 and then 61, so same as the other video. And then the string height, then concatenate that plus the scene get height, excuse me. So this is just a text object to be placed on the window, on the stage, on the scene. So we're saying at the coordinate 21 to the right of the origin pixels, 21 pixels to the right of the origin, which is the top left corner, so like this, 21 pixels to the right of the origin, and then 30 pixels down the y axis. Put the string right here, width, and then add pretend this is like a number, right? This is like plus an int that we saved as 5. Then we're saying add the whatever int num equals 5 plus put num there, put num. So this scene.width is representing a number, an integer. Put that number, well I guess in a double in this case, put that number at that coordinate. That's what it's saying. We're like calling num with get width, right? Basically, or it's an accessor method. So if we said int width equals to 5, and we say it get width, if we created those methods, then we're just saying calling that method here, get the width. So put it at 21 pixels to the right, and 30 pixels down, put that string width there. 21 pixels to the right, 30 pixels down, put that width string right there, and concatenate it too. So beside that, put the actual height of the scene, or the width of the scene, which in this case is 400. So at 21 pixels to the right and 30 pixels down, it's going to say width plus, there's no plus, it's just going to be a space, and then 400. Then on this line, it's going to be 21 pixels to the right, and then 61 pixels down. That should have been 31 actually. So 21 pixels to the right and then 61 pixels down. So below that, a little bit farther, put the height, the string, and then beside that put the height of the window, which is just a number. It's calling that number of the window, which in this case is 300. So I think this way is easier to understand than the other way. So root.getChildren. But this line's kind of hard to understand. So you might have to read the Oracle docs. I've read the Oracle docs on that. It's still hard to understand, so you kind of just, it seems like after I read it I was still confused a little bit. But basically it's taking an object old value and an object new value. So all this stuff is kind of like behind the scenes what's happening. They don't really explain it that well. They got a long thing on it, but it doesn't really make them that much sense. So I'm kind of just doing it on intuition. I might have to go back and read it again at some point too. But after that we'll just say add all. Then center, we'll add the circle, center circle. So add the node, center circle, width, text, str. So add the first text object, and add the second text object, height, text, str. That's it. Why am I getting an error here? Root. Why aren't we, oh whoops, I'm doing this in the change listener. No wonder it's not picking it up, so sorry, take that out and put it here. And then put that bracket up here. That's probably what messed me up. The bracket was so far below. Okay, so after that, that's it. We're done pretty much. We'll just set the title of the window, primary stage dot set title. There's a lot of methods with that. Full screen exit key property, get full exit hint, get icons, get max height, always on top property. I haven't used all those yet, but probably I will eventually. So primary stage dot set title to change listener demo. Or we can just say change listener change. So we could say here circle change listener, circle change listener, listener, spell it right. I forgot the quotation. So circle change listener, and then we'll say primary stage dot set scene, then pass in scene, then primary stage dot show, so to display the window on the monitor, display the stage on your monitor. and then after that just save it and run it. And again, I guess in this whole tutorial I've said this, but in this whole series, but you won't be able to see the program, but you'll see the program on your screen if you're copying this out. There's an error somewhere. Did I forget something? While parsing. 36. Oh, I think I forgot the last semicolon. Try that again. Something's funny with this. Public void start. This dot stage, just primary stage equals primary stage. Oh, we forgot the launch method, so we'll say launch. Actually, no, we have to call the method, so public static void main string array args. Then we'll call the launch method and pass in args as a parameter. I don't think that actually fixed that though. Main is not abstract. Does not need to override. I feel like we're missing something up here. Public class main extends application. Open that per block. Private primary stage. Primary stage. Oh, it's capital S, I think that's why. Yeah, that works now. There we go, there's our code. Looks kinda cool. This framework is cool, but some of the stuff is a bit hard to understand. We didn't get anything on our screen. Not sure what we forgot. Alright guys, so I'm still on the code here, so the video just ended suddenly, not sure why. So we did get an error. I think I know what happened. So we have root.getChildren, height text string, width text string, and then we forgot some lines in here, so we'll say, so we have that. We have that. To add listeners. So between there we should have some stuff here, so we'll set the center circle. We forgot to instantiate the circle. Equals to circle. With the radius of 7 again, same as the other one. What's going on with that? Method call expected. Okay. Let's go with the next line first, so center circle dot set center x to scene dot get width divided by 2. Then we'll call center circle again dot set center y to scene dot get height divided by 2. We got a spelling mistake up here. What's up with this? Center circle equals new circle. Whoops, sorry. Getting tired over here. So center circle equals new circle. Now we got all that, it should work. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. It uploaded. I mean, it compiled. So you should see a window pop up on your screen. So like we said, the dimensions of the height, dimensions of the width, it was at 300. So it's at 400 exactly, and 400 by 300, 400 width and 300 height. That's where the circle is, the exact center of the circle coordinates are. And then it has that string in the top. As we said, 21 pixels down, 21 pixels right, sorry. 21 pixels to the right, 31 pixels down, it has that width. And then concatenated to that is it didn't actually put a space on that one. But we have the 400 pixels, as we said, the coordinate. On the x-axis, it just has that number. Added that to the string, excuse me. So then, or like, yeah, it concatenates that, right? Same thing for height, 21 pixels to the right, 61 pixels down. If you ran the code, you should see it. That height is right there. Again, you won't see it on my screen because I don't have the, I only have a game recorder, so you can only record one window at a time. Excuse me, so you can see it. It's a little window that popped up on your screen, like a pop-up window almost. Well, it's a program. You can minimize, maximize, and close it. And as you resize the window, the circle is going to stay at the center of the screen. And then our text properties are going to change. So the height property and the width property is going to change. And by doing that, the text property is actually going to change, and it's going to be updated by the change listener. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.